tankers, welcome back to another one of my videos. I am Droodle's Blitz, and today I'm going to be talking about the tanks that are going to be coming into the Blitz Fair. Now when I say going to be coming into the Blitz Fair, all of these things I'm going to be saying, all the tanks I'm going to be listing are complete guesses. I have no clue what's going to be coming into the Blitz Fair. I have some strong opinions on certain vehicles, and some vehicles I have a very strong opinion that will be coming into the game for the Blitz Fair. However, I cannot confirm or deny that any of these tanks will be for sure coming or not coming into the Blitz Fair. So make sure anything I say isn't just stuck into your mind that it's going to be coming to the Blitz Fair, because I'm not 100% sure on half of the tanks in this list. Now, I have organized the tanks in lowest probability to highest probability, so I'm going to start off by listing some of the tanks that have the highest probability of getting in. Also, the gameplay you're seeing here is just background gameplay. These are actually just save games I've used in my previous videos. This one was used in the Lycan video. I'm just going to be using these because I just want to talk about the tanks, really. This isn't about the gameplay. Now, the first tank I have on the list is the IS-3 Defender. Now, this tank has been in every single Blitz Fair ever since it first came out, which I think is all three of the Blitz Fairs so far. Now, the first time it came out, it was $100. I think the second time is only about $50. That's when I managed to pick it up. So it's really not going to be super expensive, in my opinion, this Blitz Fair, and I do have a very strong feeling that it will be coming into the Blitz Fair. And just right up next to the IS-3 Defender, I also have a feeling that the T-28 Defender will be coming into the Blitz Fair. It's not a really tank that everybody wants to buy, but I still feel that Wargaming will put it into the Blitz Fair just because they'll make a little bit of extra money off of it. Scorpion G, very high contender to be coming up in the Blitz Fair. A lot of people want that tank. If I didn't own it, I would definitely pick it up. Make sure you prioritize getting that tank if you don't own it for the Blitz Fair, especially if you love accurate tank destroyers. It's, to be honest, one of my all-time top 10 favorite tanks in the entire game. M6 Experimental I have listed. That has also, just like the IS-3 Defender, been in every single Blitz Fair in the game so far. I have a feeling it will be coming into this one as well, and it won't be super expensive. Maybe $20, $30, which isn't bad at all. And to be honest, the M6 Experimental is a little bit overpowered in my opinion. It used to be one of my highest average win rate tanks in the entire game. I haven't played it much anymore, but when I did play it, it was just so fun. It was a little broken for me personally, just because that frontal armor is so good. So that is a definite heavy tank to pick up if you don't own it, especially if it's going to be only like $20. Make sure if you don't own that vehicle, keep an eye out for it if it does come in the Blitz Fair, because it is a very good tank. Now, I also have the Object 252 listed, and as we know, the Object 252 is regarded as an overpowered tank. Personally, I never felt it was super overpowered. However, I do think it's still better than about 99% of the average heavy tanks in the game at tier 8 right now. It's got a 420 alpha gun, very ridiculously well armor at the top of the tank. Unfortunately, the lower plate is just not as good as I wished it was, but if it was as good as I wished it was, the tank would have been completely overpowered. But Object 252, I think it's only been sold twice since it originally came out, which means that Wargaming is definitely going to make this tank probably $50, my guess, $50 to $40. They are going to sell a lot of these. So if you don't have a heavy right now, or you don't have a really good heavy for tournaments or anything, keep your money in your account, because I really feel that the M6 and the Object 252, at least one of those will be guaranteed coming into the Blitz Fair, so definitely at least save some of your money for the Blitz Fair, because if these tanks do come in and you spent your money on, let's say the KPZ comes out before the Blitz Fair, you're really going to regret your decision. So I would suggest, if you don't have certain tanks that you really would like to pick up, save your money for them. Also, I just want to make a quick note. I'm only listing more of the rarer type of vehicles that are going to be coming into the Blitz Fair. I'm not going to be listing tanks like the, T-54 Mod 1 or tanks like the T-34-3, because those tanks just really aren't that wanted in the game right now. And I could go on for ages listing tanks like the ISU-122S that people just don't really care about. So this list is more on the tanks that people want to get, you guys want to pick up, and you just want to know if they're going to be coming into the Blitz Fair. But right back to the list, the next one I have listed is the T-26E5. Personally, I hate it. I know it's actually not a bad tank. It can actually do very, very well in certain scenarios. It's got one of the best damage per minutes at tier 8, especially for a heavy tank. However, I hate the tank. I personally would not suggest to spend one dime trying to get that thing on the Blitz Fair if it does come out. I have the Type 59. Type 59, I have a very strong opinion that that tank will be coming into the Blitz Fair. I could almost bet money that it will be appearing, and it's going to be pretty cheap, probably $20, $30 at max. Type 59 is probably one of the strongest mediums tier for tier in the game. It's got a really good turret, 7 degrees of gun depression. It's almost like you get a T-54 lightweight, and then you make it age 20 years. And just really make it such a more beastly type of tank. And personally, I think the Type 59 is great. If you don't own it, maybe save your money for that as well, because, as I said, it's going to be on the cheaper scale if it does come in, because they've sold it so many times now. I really feel that Wargaming's not going to sell the Type 59 for a ridiculous amount anymore. Alright, and next I have the Glacial listed. The only reason I have this listed as maybe a little bit prioritized tank is because they did buff the lower plate quite a bit. It's actually, it went from about 120 I think to 140 or 160. The lower plate's now, when aiming dead on at enemies, about 200 to 210 thick. And when you get into some good angling, that lower plate can be very, very hard to penetrate. However, personally, I do not like the Glacial really at all. Even after the buff, I still think the Glacial is kind of a meh tank. It's kind of slow. It's not fun to run. Personally, I just don't like the Glacial that much. It is a good heavy, though. But I definitely wouldn't suggest to try and pick it up in the Blitz Fair if it does come out. Now, the Lorraine 40T, that is a vehicle that actually is pretty rare. A lot of people want it. I have a very strong feeling that that tank will come into the Blitz Fair. However, I personally don't say the tank is worth it to try and get, just because it's such a hard vehicle to know how to run. Personally, I don't like the clip on it, because it takes you so long to shoot at the enemy with your 4 shells that you manage to get hit back usually a lot harder than you are dealing, judging that if you miss one shell, you've got to wait, what, 27 seconds to reload the whole clip? Personally, Lorraine, in my opinion, is not really worth it, and it's probably going to be quite expensive in the Blitz Fair, judging that they barely ever sell the Lorraine, because it's actually quite a prestigious vehicle. I also have the WZ120-1 GFT. This, in my opinion, will guaranteed be coming up in the Blitz Fair. It was in last year's Blitz Fair. It will be in this year's Blitz Fair. Save your money for it if you don't have it. I highly suggest to people, if they wanted to just completely ruin their statistics and make their statistics go from 50% to 70% win rate, and just cause cancer all over the game, to pick up the WZ when it was $50. And it's probably going to be even cheaper now in the Blitz Fair, maybe 40 or even 30 if they do put it in the auctions, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Make sure you save some money, at least to see if you can try and pick up the WZ if you don't own it, because, to be honest, it's a no-brainer to pick it up. It's that overpowered in the game. Up next on the list is the M4FL10. Now, personally, I love the M4FL10. It's like running an E25 mixed with an auto reloader. It's just got this really quick reload for each one of its single shells. I think it's, what, like 3.8 seconds, 3.9? And then, not to mention, it has that plus the auto reloading aspect. It really makes the tank just so good on the battlefield, and I actually really like it. I would suggest to keep an eye out for that in the Blitz Fair. Not a lot of people actually think that tank is anything special, but that's just because it looks so weird. It's placed at a weird tier, but personally, I think it's actually one of my top 3 favorite tier 7 tanks in the game. Next, I have the Type 62. That is a tank that is overpowered. Pretty much 99% of the YouTubers in the game say to pick it up when it does come out. It's usually very cheap nowadays. It's like $20, so you'll probably be able to pick it up in the Blitz Fair for $20, maybe even $15 if Wargaming's feeling very happy this year. And I would say to pick it up just because it is a pretty overpowered tank. Its heat penetration is like 275 if you run calibrated, and you're at tier 7 for Pete's sakes. That is a little bit ridiculous. And it's a very, very quick tank. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of armor, but that is really the only flaw about the tank. Everything else is just through the roof. Type 64 I've listed, but that's really not a rare vehicle. I have a feeling it will come in the Blitz Fair, as they've brought it in for the last 2 years. I would personally suggest even try and get it. It's not worth it. It is very, very quick. One of the quickest tanks actually in the game. However, it's just really not a spectacular vehicle. Now, those are the less important vehicles on the list. Those are the ones that I feel have around a 70-80% chance of coming in the Blitz Fair. Some of them I have a 100% chance, in my opinion. However, I don't want to say that just because, just in case they do go into the game, I don't want to be held reliable for having you guys save your money and then nothing special comes out. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that. However, those tanks I feel will have a pretty high probability of coming into the game. Now, I have starred a couple tanks, and these vehicles I think have around a 50 to 40% chance, and the lower the probability I have a feeling are going to be the end vehicles in this list. Now, starting off, I have the VK9001P. Not a lot of this vehicle really has been posted anywhere. You've probably seen it in battles a little bit. A lot of contributors have been running it. A lot of testers have been running it. The VK90 actually is receiving a very, very large buff just because it's been doing so poorly in average battles right now. However, it's been in testing for quite some time now, so I feel Wargaming will bring that tank into the Blitz Fair. I actually have a strong feeling on that. I think that that will be this year's Tier 10 tank in the Blitz Fair. As well, I have the Progetto 46 listed. Progetto 46 is a very, very popular tank on PC. And probably one of the most popular takes on PC, to be honest, that a lot of people want to get. So I have a feeling they will bring it to Blitz for the Blitz Fair, and if they do, a lot of people are going to want to pick it up, and I would suggest to pick it up. I've looked at the statistics for it: 240 alpha damage per shot, 2.5 seconds. And these are all on Blitz stars. That is really, really good. It's actually going to do quite a bit more damage per minute than the Pantera right now. It's actually a little bit slower than Pantera, but it has more gun depression. The tank just looks like it completely outclasses the Pantera in my opinion. I'm not sure if they're going to nerf it when they do release it, but I would definitely suggest to pick that thing up if you get the ability to. Unfortunately, we don't know how much it's going to cost if it does come out, and because it'll be the first time it's appearing in stores, it might cost $100 at the least. So that is one thing to keep in mind. I also have the Badger highlighted. The Badger, I actually have a 100% chance of popping up in the Blitz Fair, in my opinion, just because the Badger has not been sold since the original time it was sold. It's only been sold one time in the entire game, and I think that's just because they want to give this tank so much just of an uproar when it does come into the Blitz Fair. I think they want to really make it such a prestigious vehicle, and it really annoys me that they haven't sold it once after the crates, because I spent $500 on the crate, never picked up the tank, and now I'm going to have to wait all the way until Blitz Fair, and I'm scared on how much they're going to make the tank cost. However, I will definitely be picking it up in the Blitz Fair if it does come out, which I would definitely think it is. So if you are wanting to pick up the Badger, save your money till the Blitz Fair, because I have a very, very strong feeling that it will be going into it. As well, I have the T95E6 listed. A lot of people don't like the 95E6. I personally love it. I think it's actually way better than the E5. It's like you get an E5, you get a lot better maneuverability, traverse speed, accuracy, more gun depression. It does have a cupola, but it's actually a pretty well armored cupola. Is that I personally think the tank is actually excellent. I've been averaging 5,000 damage some of the games in it some days, and I'm in a really good streak. It's really quick, and I just personally like it a lot. And if it does come into the Blitz for this year, which I think it will, probably in the auction, I would actually say to look into it a little bit more, because usually I feel that that tank really gets passed up, but I feel it's actually a really good vehicle. Next up, I have the T22. Now, the T22 has only been sold one time in the store, and it wasn't really sold, it was in crates, so you had to gamble to try and get it. Other than that, it was only sold in last year's Blitz Fair. And just because of that, I really have a strong feeling that it will be coming into this year's Blitz Fair. So if you want to pick up the T22, you didn't want to spend money on crates, save your money for the Blitz Fair, because I have a very, very strong opinion that it will be coming into this year's Blitz Fair. And to be honest, I think that even if a really overpowered tank comes into the store. Now, if a tank like the Progetto 46 comes into the store before the Blitz Fair comes out, I'll definitely say, or I'll make my video on whatever tank comes out, and I'll probably say to get it or don't get it, because it probably won't appear in the Blitz Fair if it just appears the week before it. However, if I'm listing any of these tanks now, and none of these are coming out within the next couple weeks, or none of them do. Definitely save your money if I've listed any of the tanks you really want to get. Because, the tanks that are, even if, you missed the opportunity to get a really overpowered tank that hasn't come out yet in Blitz, because you're waiting for, let's say, a Smasher or a WZ to come into the Blitz Fair, and, those two tanks don't come in, there are still so many other good tanks that are going to be in the Blitz Fair. You're still going to have such great choices to really pick from, even on the auction. And as I said, the T-22 is a really, really good tank. A lot of people think it's overpowered. I don't think it's overpowered, but I think it's on the fine line of becoming overpowered. It has really bad shell velocity, really bad gun handling compared to like the 62A and the 140. The penetration isn't great, so it does have some downfalls. However, the T-22 is just really a spectacular tank, and if I'm guessing a lot of you really want to pick that up, and if you do, I don't blame you. Definitely save your money for the Blitz Fair on that one. However, I'm expecting that tank to at least at the cheapest be $100. So definitely remember that and keep that in mind. Wargaming will try and rob you of all your money on the tanks like the T-22 just because they're so prestigious in the game. I also have the M60 listed. M60 was in the last two Blitz Fairs, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe it was just the last one only. But M60's been sold quite a bit now. It's actually been in special offers. It's been in the last Blitz Fair. I think it will be in this Blitz Fair. And actually, the M60 is an excellent vehicle. Personally, I would rate it higher, a lot higher actually than the M48 Patton. If you love your Patton, you'll love the M60 even more. And I would definitely suggest to save your money for that one if you do like the Patton or the playstyle of any tank like the T26E5, T26E4, T34, anything like that. The M60 is just a way better vehicle in my opinion than the Patton. Now a lot of people can argue with that, and I completely understand why, but its gun handling is better. It's actually, I think, a little bit quicker. It's got 10 degrees of gun depression over the 9. The turrets are completely identical. Overall, it's just really a better tank in my opinion. The next tank is the Chieftain Mark 6. Now, the Chieftain Mark 6 is, in my opinion, probably the best overall Tier 10 heavy in the entire game. It's got very good maneuverability. It's actually got, in my opinion, the best gun in the game, just because the shell velocity is so good, the accuracy is so good, it gets that Hesh, and the Hesh is, oh, it's so sweet running in the Chieftain. 500 and I think 40. I'm not sure what the average damage is, but it is really, really good. The Chieftain, it's just so quick. It's got 10 degrees of gun depression. It's really everything you want in a heavy. And personally, if you don't own the Chieftain Mark 6, I have over 500 games in it, over 60% win rate. I love every single game I play in it, and it's got an epic camo, epic name, to be honest. And if you don't own the Badger and you wanted to get the Badger and you don't own the Chieftain, I would definitely suggest to spend your money on the Chieftain over the Badger any day of the week. You'll be doing much better in the Chieftain over the Badger. I've seen a lot of players run the Badger. I've gotten a lot of opinions on it. My friend actually let me play it. Personally, I think the Chieftain is a way better tank than the Badger, unless you really, really know how to run a tank like the Tortoise. But yes, definitely save your money for the Chieftain, especially because they've sold it quite a bit now. I think the cheapest time it was $60, $50, which means that the Chieftain might only be $30 this year in the Blitz Fair if you actually get lucky and it comes into the auction. So definitely remember that, because it is a very, very good tank. I also have the 121B listed. 121B is a pretty good tank. It's like you combine a 121 with a 62A. It's got a gold camouflage, which in my books makes it awesome, really cool looking. I actually really like the tank's playstyle as well, because you have that 360 or 350 alpha damage gun. You can actually run it like a 62A. You have very good damage per minute, over 3,000 damage per minute. It's quite accurate. It's got the really good heat penetration. I personally really like the tank. If you don't own it and you like the 62A playstyle, definitely try and consider it. And I think that it will come into the Blitz Fair. I have a very high chance of that one coming in. especially with that camouflage it does have. They're probably going to be selling that tank with the camo, and that's a very, very solid guess I have on that tank alone. Now, these are the tanks, those are tanks, or at least I listed there, were pretty high chances of coming into the Blitz Fair still. I really feel that all those tanks I listed have over a 50% chance of coming into it. The next tanks I'm going to be listing have, I'd say, maybe a 20% at max. Um, it's just a really iffy thing to be going over. The first one is being the Carnarvon X. Not the Carnarvon X, the Carnarvon AX. Sorry, my throat was a little bit stuffy there. But this is the Carnarvon Action 10. It is a British. It's almost like you get the Carnarvon, which it's based off of, and then you add just a bunch of reactive armor to it. Or should I say, you just pretty much completely max out this thing on the armor. It goes a little bit slower, but its upper plate is now going to be completely impenetrable compared to where the normal Carnarvon is just this weak little potato you can shoot at. As well, the turret has very, very thick side paneling all around it. Overall, I think the Carnarvon Action 10 is going to be one of the best tier 8 heavies in the game when it does come out. I would definitely keep an eye out for that tank if it does come into the game. And it's actually a pretty solid tank in my opinion, and it will be. It's very good on PC, so I'm not 100% sure if that tank will be coming into the Blitz Fair. I'm not really that sure at all. However, I really would like to see it come in there. As well, the Chimera is another British heavy tank. A lot of British heavies are going to be coming into the game very soon. But the Chimera, as well, is a British heavy. It pretty much looks like it's based off of the Carnarvon Hall. On PC, it's actually a medium tank, but it is a heavy in Blitz, and it looks like it's based off the Carnarvon Hall, so it's not going to have spectacular armor. However, it has a very big gun. On PC, I think it does 460 average damage, I think maybe even 500. And because of that, it's going to be very, very fun to run, especially as a tier 8 heavy. So if the Chimera does come into the game, it might have a 460 damage gun on a tier 8 British heavy tank, which is going to be really, really cool. However, I have my doubts on whether or not that tank will be coming into the Blitz Fair. And the last tank I have listed, you've probably all been waiting for me to say this tank's name. It is the Smasher. I have no clue if Wargaming is going to be bringing this tank into the Blitz Fair. I really have a 0% clue. But I think they could. I do have a probability that they might, because knowing Wargaming, they are a business. They want to make money. And they might sell this tank for a ridiculous amount of money. You might have to gamble to try and get it, spin a wheel, or complete some sort of mission, which costs you $100 to even get a chance to completing. Smasher is just a broken tank, and the reason I don't think they'll do it is just because it's so overpowered. If they really release it, it's going to be just so cancer towards the game. And I really don't think they should do it. It's just going to mess up the entire game, and it's going to ruin some of my happiness internally. But this is the end of my list. I hope you guys did like the tanks, at least I picked. Let me know if there's any vehicles I missed. Now, there's obviously tanks like the LEKPZ. This will probably be coming in, but again, these tanks aren't really tanks that people really want to pick up, like the Moots and the 75 and the Yag Tigers. These tanks are probably going to be coming into the Blitz Fair, like the Mod 1, but, you know, they always come into the Blitz Fair. They usually come around the store once or twice every year. They're usually not super expensive. These are really just the tanks I wanted to list, all 26 of them. And I hope you did enjoy this video. As always, if you did, make sure to smash that like button. If you didn't, hit me up with a down vote. Let me know why you didn't like it. If this video was a little bit boring for you guys because you pretty much just had to hear me list a bunch of tanks, I do apologize. However, I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight onto maybe what is coming into Blitz in the future. And if you don't know what the Chimera is or the Centurion, the Carnarvon Action 10, just make sure to type that into Google real quick, because they are pretty cool looking vehicles. But other than that, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one.